track and field is popular all around the world. And even though America has more of the top talent than any other nation, they are not even the biggest fans of it. Cause when Noah Lyles goes to Zurich in Switzerland, he can sell out a 25,000 seat stadium. But when he goes to New York City, which is the biggest city in his home country, he can't even get 5,000 people to show up to the meet. But keep in mind, Noah Lyles is a sprinter and the fastest man in the world. So as long as he still holds that title, there will always be people willing to pay attention. But some of the people who comment on my channel have made it very clear that track and field is way more than sprinting, and they want to hear more about those events. And I want you to know that I don't blame you. Track and field is at least 18 primary events at the college level and beyond. And only 3 of those events are authentically sprinting events. But let's also be clear that I am just one of many YouTube channels out there for track and field. But most of them that get the majority of views spend a lot of their time talking about sprinting. So I'm going to call it like I see it. And no, this video is not clickbait. Track and field does actually have a bit of a sprinting problem, because people complain that track and field doesn't have enough action for them to watch, and that the highlights of a track event is basically just watching the whole event again. But that is only because they only pay attention to the sprints, and the YouTube view counts for all the other events are proof of it. So I'm opening up the discussion about the problem that is holding the entire sport back in the eyes of the fans. And no, you don't have to agree with me. That's what the comment section is for, and I try to read them all. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the real reason why. And as I get started, I'm not going to give you a long drawn out argument about why sprinting is a problem for the sport of track and field. Or at least, not yet. Because I don't actually mean that sprinting is the problem. What I am trying to say is that we've allowed sprinting to rise above the sport of track and field, to become its own sport all to itself. And that is an issue, because we wouldn't do this in any other sport. Swimming is the closest sport to track and field directly, and there is no one event that stands out as the event that dominates swimming coverage. But just consider that football is the most popular sport in all of America, and some people would tell you it's even more popular at the college level. And one of the reasons that pulls in the fans is that the quarterback is one of the most entertaining positions to follow. All of the real fans know that you can't win much in that sport without a good quarterback. But they are also aware that you can't do that without a good crop of offensive linemen to protect them. And of course you need a defense that's good enough to stop the other team and their quarterback. The funny thing is, most people don't really know who the linemen are by name, or for that matter, most of the defensive players. And they don't really care that much. But we still give them credit, because without them, the team doesn't function. The quarterback might be the most exciting thing to watch, but he can't win without his team, and they can't win without him. And what I'm trying to say with all of this is we could sell a football product and get rid of the offensive linemen. It's called 7-on-7. We put the quarterback out there with some wide receivers and maybe some DBs, let them duke it out and air out the football. But the reason we don't do that in the NFL or in college football is because it has been proven that 11-on-11 football, even if we still gotta add stuff that goes beyond the best parts in the minds of fans, is more compelling. If you just give people the best parts, then the entire sport falls apart. And that is what's been happening to track and field. We have practically been selling all of the events one at a time. And let me tell you, it's backfiring. Because track and field at the college level is actually a team sport. And the NCAA championships, which is basically the only time college track gets on cable anyway, won't let you forget it. all of the individual events break up into separate groups, and sprinting, in particular the 100-meter dash, is clearly the star of the show. At the pro level, I totally get it. If people really want to watch Sireece Jackson go up against Sha'Carri Richardson. But there is no excuse for their World Championship event to get nearly 4 million views by itself, and Grant Holloway's in the 110 hurdles to only get barely 500,000. To be clear, Grant Holloway is a showman on the track, just like Noah Lyles, which means he is box office entertainment, and he is now a triple world champion, and perhaps the greatest 110 hurdler that the world has ever seen, at least when it's all said and done. But what I'm trying to say is barely anybody tuned in to watch him prove it. Track and field fans wonder why the sport isn't bigger on television, and why we don't have any functional track and field leagues for entertainment. Well, here is the real reason, and I'm sorry if it's a little bit offensive, but nobody is going to invest in Noah Lyles, Sha'Carri Richardson, or even Sireece Jackson running the 100 or the 200-meter dash. At least not real money to only show that for a few seconds on television. It does not make sense because it's bad money management. It's not enough entertainment for people to pay to watch it because it doesn't stay on TV long enough. And as long as track fans only want to watch one event quickly and then tune out and get back to whatever they were doing, the entire sport of track and field is going to suffer. The only way that track and field can thrive as an entire sport is if everybody does it together. And remember, we already have track teams at the high school and college level. The only problem is everybody forgets about that the moment they turn pro. Distance events are often treated like the commercial breaks of track and field. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought that way for a long time. And I know I'm not the only one. People might watch an 800-meter run. But remember, I said maybe. And that's only if Donovan Brazier or somebody else that we actually recognize is aiming to break a world record. Any race longer than a mile is normally so far away from people's minds that it might as well not even exist. The 5K at the World Championships had so few views that it barely got to 250,000. And I didn't even point out that that's from the year 2022. Granted, YouTube ain't cable, but by now you see where I'm going with this. The people who call themselves track and field fans are ignoring most of the sport whenever they choose to tune in. So because the community won't support itself, nobody else who is outside of it as a sports fan sees the reason to do so. And that is a shame, because right now we are witnessing some of the best track and field athletes that the world has ever seen all at the same time. And you probably don't even know that it's happening, because Faith Kipyegon broke 3 world records, and she did all of that in 2023. And she is just one of several distance runners to break world records since 2021. Toby Amusan broke the women's 100 hurdle record in 2022 in an event that is so competitive that she lost at the Worlds in 2023 to Kenny Harrison, the old world record holder, and Danielle Williams. But Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is clearly the greatest women's 400 hurdler of all time, and she most recently broke her own record in 2022. And remember, I didn't say anything about the men, because the shot put and pole vault world records both went down in 2023. So you should get the point. The only event group that has not broken a world record in either the men's or the women's side in over 5 years is the sprinting events. Yet for some reason, it's the only thing track and field fans know about. And maybe it's because the people who control the broadcast are so convinced that that is all we care about. To be clear, I was a sprinter throughout my entire track career, all the way through the end of college. So I love sprinting. And I knew very little about throwing, distance, or any other event group until I got to college. But it was later, after I started coaching at the high school and then at the college level, that both times my first jobs at those levels was to become a distance coach. So I had to learn how to think like a distance runner. And let me tell you, it is a beautiful struggle. Because sprinting is all about controlled aggression. It's about getting your body to hit as hard and as fast and as precise as humanly possible. And you do all of that with the insane confidence that nobody will do it as hard, as fast, and as precise as you will. But distance running is about proving who can subject their body to the most amount of pain and keep pushing further than everybody else. The goal is to go as fast as possible without breaking. It's like having someone put an anvil on your shoulders and then asking you to carry it for as long as the duration of the race has to be. But the winner is always the man or woman who can carry that anvil better than everybody else. That is why Caitlin Tui is a superstar. She's been carrying that load at the high school and the college level better than anyone else who consistently lines up against her. But when she officially has no more college races left to run, all of that talent is likely going to be forgotten about, at least by television broadcasters. Because she'll be there with all the other distance runners, getting only a fraction of the attention that the sprinters get. Now, I know that distance running has its own community, but it is still a shame that the distance community doesn't really even feel like it is a part of the same sport as the sprinting community. Track and field is a team sport, whether or not we want to admit it, and it functions that way at the high school and college level. And the sprinting group is only one part of any successful track team. Professional track and field has a whole bunch of problems, and I get that. Some of them I've already talked about on this channel, and some of them I'll talk about going forward. But let's get one thing straight. It is a problem that we tend to only focus on the sprinting events. I admit that it's what I love the most, and that's only because I was a sprinter myself. But we've got to give credit wherever it's due, because the sport can't succeed unless we do it together. And because what you focus on is all you're ever gonna see, you are probably missing out right now on the golden age of track and field, even if it's not the golden age of sprinting. I'm Coach Rob, and thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want to see more content like this, then please like and subscribe.